When you think of one of the most tragic characters in Vinland Saga, you're likely to look towards Thorfinn's downward spiral in the prologue, or Askeladd's long wait for Artorias, or Arnheid's suffering through the storms of men. Vinland Saga is a series that does not shy away from showing the cruelty of the world, so many of its characters can certainly fit this description. However, there's one character that undergoes an ironic tragedy that I think often gets left out of the conversation.
戦士として完成するには何かが足りない。
ならそいつ相手にコテンパンのてめえは何なんだよ。
そうさ、俺にも足りない。トールズのこのお前からならそれを学べると思ってたんだが。なあ、トルフンよ。お前はどう思う？本当の戦士ってなんだ？
My name is Mir, and welcome to Vinland's Finest, a collaborative project where myself and other Vinland Saga content creators create a video about a chapter that we think represents some of the best that this series has to offer. I chose to discuss chapter 137, which is part 13 of the Baltic Sea War arc. While it may not be my all-time favorite chapter, I believe it is a strong chapter that allows me to talk about a very interesting topic: the tragedy of Thorkell. Anyone who has watched or read Vinland Saga knows the most important piece of characterization for Thorkell. He is a man who absolutely loves war. On the surface level, he is a character who completely thrives in the world that Vinland Saga presents. He's a legend on the battlefield, so much so that he's considered invincible. He's a Viking society poster boy and a #1 celebrity. He lives in the best possible world for a warrior like him. From the prologue, one of the key details we learn about Thorkell is that he is ultimately, like anyone else, seeking fulfillment in his life. He believes that this fulfillment lies at the end of the path walked by Thors, the path of a true warrior. Despite being the strongest force on the battlefield, massive and unstoppable, he feels something is still missing. He talks about regretting not having followed Thors away from Jomsburg, and so he chooses to follow Canute to avoid making that mistake again. This choice sets him on the path he wished he had walked down before, one where he could begin to understand why he was not a true warrior, and, tragically, why he never will be.
なんだ、黙り込んじまったぞ。野郎ども、こんな俺でもな、たった一つ後悔してることがある。なぜあの時俺はトールズについていかなかったのかってな。あん時奴についてってれば、本当の戦士の秘密を知ることができただろう。あんたがこれから何をして何者になっていくのか見届けてやる。その代わりぬるいことしやがったら即ぶっ殺すかんな。
いいだろう。そなたは今日より私の従士だ。
This leaves us after the events of the prologue, where Canute has become the king of his northern sea empire, with the goal of creating paradise on earth by using his military power to enforce peace. While Canute is not walking the same path of the true warrior as Thorfinn is, he has started to create a world without war like a true warrior strives for. This has left Thorkell as a Jarl who is far from conflict, and he's shown to be bored out of his mind and desperate for a return to war. All of this leads to the events of the Baltic Sea War, where a conflict has broken out between two sides of the Jomsvikings, and Thorkell has been sent by Canute to participate in the war to come. With this background information out of the way, let's discuss chapter 137, Baltic Sea War, part 13. We begin with a flashback to Canute and his vassal, Ulf, accompanied by some warriors on a deer hunt in Denmark. On this hunt, they aren't finding any deer. Canute realizes that this is the fault of the wolves in the area, which have grown their pack to such a size that they have eaten all the deer and begun to affect the farms. Canute somberly asks Ulf if he could instead tell the wolves to pick up a hoe and live by farming instead if they are lacking in prey. The other men laugh at this joke, but Ulf does not. Instead, he explains to Canute, no matter how much the world changes, a wolf will always be a wolf. They will continue to kill to fill their stomachs, and that way of life can never be changed. Canute acknowledges this, and concludes that the only solution would be to cull the wolves from the forest by having them hunt each other. The chapter then returns to the Baltic Sea half a year later, where Ulf has been sent by Canute to advise Thorkell with the order to intervene in the Jomsvikings' internal strife. Thorkell, however, is put off by this order, questioning why now Canute is encouraging him to go wild when he usually keeps him subdued. Ulf responds saying that the order was made for Thorkell's sake, to help him satisfy his desire for war. Thorkell appears to be put off even more by this answer, but he continues, saying that he finds it strange that the Jomsviking chief, as well as other important figures recently, have been dying of illness. Ulf essentially brushes past this, playing dumb. After a brief pause, however, Thorkell grabs him by the neck and lifts him up. He calls Ulf out for being so unconcerned and composed, since everything must be going according to his plan. Thorkell shows Ulf that he knows very well that he is being used by Canute here, and that they all think they're so cleverly manipulating him. Despite all their cleverness, in this moment, he is strong and in control. He tells Ulf to report back to Canute and tell him that if he wants to kill someone, he should draw his sword and do it himself. Then, despite that entire exchange, Thorkell walks to the front of the boat and cheers, excited for the battle to come. Now, a lot happened in this chapter, so let's break it down a bit. Upon reading this chapter, it isn't hard to see that the deer hunt is a metaphor for Canute's concerns with the Jomsvikings. He sees Vikings as wolves, who are set in their own way of life. The Jomsvikings in particular are a pack that has gotten far bigger than he can control. He uses the hunt as a way to convey his order to Ulf, ultimately deciding that he will poison the leader of the Jomsvikings in order to start an internal war over succession. Furthermore, in order to get this war moving, he intends to send his strongest wolf, Thorkell. From his perspective, Thorkell is like the other Vikings, a wolf that will never change its way of life. However, through the second half of this chapter, we come to understand a very important distinction for Thorkell. He is a wolf who is well aware of it being a wolf. He becomes frustrated with the manipulation that to him is so blatantly obvious, and he threatens to tear all these underhanded schemes down by refusing to be a wolf. However, at the end of the chapter, he joyfully returns to the task given to him, ready to give Canute exactly what he was asking for. This is where the tragic nature of Thorkell's character becomes clear. Despite being aware of his nature as a wolf, he is still not able to change his ways as the world changes, just as Ulf had told Canute during the hunt. This means that Thorkell's goal to become a true warrior and find that missing piece of a fulfilling life is ultimately not one that he can reach. Since choosing to follow Canute, he has only been miserably waiting for the next battle. Once battle comes, he's able to be happy, but this is quickly followed by a prolonged feeling of emptiness as he waits for the next. All this time, he has tried to walk the path that Thor's walked, and he has only found disappointment and frustration. Thorkell is a man doomed to an unending state of incompleteness as he chases the goal that he will never allow himself to reach. And as the world begins to change and Ragnarok comes for his way of life, he can only knowingly watch as all sense of fulfillment he has left completely drains away. Thank you for watching this video. This is very different from my usual videos on this channel. I usually write some notes and mostly go off the cuff, but this time I attempted a more rigidly scripted approach. I have more ideas that fit this format much better than my usual discussion videos, so this likely won't be the last time I make a video like this one. Following this, I want to thank Jarky Bacon for organizing this collaborative project and encouraging a lot of people like myself to get on board. I'll be linking videos from Jarky as well as other contributors to this project in the description below. Please explore and check everyone out. If this is your last stop, then huge thanks from all of us for watching Vinland's Finest.